Hi everyone, welcome to Overmarks Sec 3 End of Year Combined Biology free lesson. So for today's lesson, we will be doing revision on these three selected topics. It will be the movement of substances, nutrition in plants, and transport in human. So before begin with the lesson, make sure that you have actually downloaded a copy of today's worksheet. So if you would like to use hard copy, please get it printed out before the lesson. And if you using soft copy, like make sure you download it in your tablet or your computer. So let me do a brief introduction about myself first, because I think a lot of you all have not seen me before. So my name is Miss Felicia. So you can call me Miss Felicia, or you can call me Teacher Felicia, or you can call me Miss also can. So today I will be hosting the Sec 3 Combined Bio lesson with you all. So for today's lesson, since it's only 1.5 hours and we need to cover 3 topics, so lesson pace will be a little bit faster. So I will hope that all of you pay close attention to me during the lesson so that we can move on quickly. Okay? So I will start off with the notes first. Then after we're done with the notes, we will then move on to the worksheet practice questions. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so for the topic of movement of substances, the topic of movement of substances is actually closely related to nutrition in plant. That's why I picked these 2 topics. Okay, so for movement of substance, total, there are 3 methods that substances can move, right? There is diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. But for active transport, it's not within the combined science syllabus, so that part I will skip it. Okay, so for diffusion, definition of diffusion, make sure you have to know, because sometimes teacher will ask you, what's the definition? So can you all follow me and put a star? So that means whatever that I write on the notes, you follow me. Okay, so whatever I write, whatever I highlight, make sure it's the same as your notes. So need to know the definition of diffusion. So for diffusion, it will be actually any particles. So it will be any particles like perfume particles, gas particles, it can be any particles, all except water. So take note, okay? So for the diffusion, let's write it down. So it will be for all particles except liquid water. So for diffusion, it will also include gaseous water. So that means for diffusion, it will include water vapor too. So take note, okay? It is only pure water in the liquid state is then osmosis. Besides pure liquid water, the rest will be under diffusion. So for water vapor, it will be under diffusion. Or maybe if you talk about maybe Ribena drink, Ribena is like got Ribena syrup mixed with water. Although there is water, but it's not pure water. So as long as not pure water, it will be under diffusion. So for diffusion, it will be movement from high to low concentration. Another keyword to take note will be the word net. So for example, let me just give you a scenario. So if I were to say that now I have 2 regions, left and right, maybe the left side I have more particles, then right side I have less particles. So can you follow me and draw this out? Follow and draw it in. Okay, so for a scenario where you have one region of higher concentration and the other region of lower concentration, based on what you all know about diffusion is particles should always move from high to low concentration, correct? So this arrow is definitely correct. So now my question is it possible for me to have this arrow? So can you all click in the reaction, the yes, no button. Do you think is it possible for me to have this arrow over here during diffusion? You want to give it a try? Yes or no? Is it possible to have this arrow during diffusion? You want to click like yes or no button? Possible or not possible? Okay, so some of you are like not sure, like I see a lot of unsure. Okay, so the correct answer is yes. It's surprisingly yes. Why? Because of this keyword net. Net means overall. That means as long as I have more molecules moving down the concentration gradient, so that means in this case, if I have more particles moving down the concentration gradient, but only one particle moving in the opposite direction. You realize that when I look at the word net, net means overall. Like for example, if you were to go shopping, then there is sales. Yeah, so the price that you pay after discount, that is actually called the net price. Yeah, so net means overall. So in this case, the overall it is still down the concentration gradient. That's why in this case, we will say that it is possible for the particle to move in the opposite direction as long as the net, the overall, it is down the concentration gradient will do. Yeah, because you need to know that particles don't have eyes, right? Particles also don't have brain. Like, how do they know which direction they are moving? And based on what you learn in chemistry, in kinetic particle theory, particles are constantly moving in random motion, right? So it is possible that the random motion can be in the opposite direction. Yeah, so take note that it is okay for particles to move in the opposite direction as long as when you look at the overall, majority is moving from high to low concentration. Like in this case, you see net, it is still high to low. This is still diffusion. Okay, so both arrows, all arrows here are all correct. Huh? Yeah, it is okay to have arrows that is in the opposite direction due to particles moving in random direction. Okay, so yep, done for the definition of diffusion. Hope you are clearer now. Okay, so for diffusion, for membrane, it is optional, but for osmosis, it's a must-have. Okay, next, the answering technique. So for this topic, whenever question asks you to explain, so for my notes, for the style of my notes, you realize I will keep using this kind of phrasing, answering technique. Answering technique will be what you have to memorize, which is a template answer for you to apply in explanation answers. So whenever worksheet asks you to explain something, then you realize that, oh, it's related to diffusion. You just copy and paste the whole template in. So let me demo to you how do you use this template. Yeah, so what you are supposed to fill in for the blank here is like the region. So maybe the question is asking you about I place a potato cell in, or maybe a strip of potato in a solution. Yeah, so what you need to do is you need to fill in the blank. Is it like potato cell has higher concentration of, so depend on question, maybe it's comparing about salt. So you can say potato cell has a higher concentration of salt than the surrounding solution. So salt particles diffuse from where to where, they just copy until here. So I left the blanks over here is because it's for you to fill in according to the context of the question. Yeah, so you fill in when you depend on what the question is. For the last blank, how you fill in? You will fill in based on here. So do you see that over here I write describe cell, which is this part here? Yep, so describe cell means that you refer to this table. So the blank over here will be either these four answers. So for animal cell, depend on whether your substance enter or leave. For plant cell, also same thing, depends on whether the substance enter or leave. Then you fill in the blank accordingly over here. Okay, so for animal cell, you need to know that when substances enter, it will expand and burst, right? Because for animal cell, don't have cell wall to hold its shape. That's why it will burst. Then when substances leave, if the animal cell keep losing substance, it will shrink and become crenated. Okay, then next, what is crenated? Crenated means that they will have this kind of spiky edges. But take note that for biology, you are not allowed to draw sharp edges. So when you want to draw spiky, you look over here. You see, although it is spiky, but I don't draw it as pointed. So make sure that in biological drawing, don't have any sharp edges in your drawing. Okay? So this is called crenated. That means have the spiky edges. This is crenated. Okay, then next, for plant cell won't burst because there is the cell wall, so it will expand and become turgid. So what's turgid? Turgid just means it becomes very hard. Then for plant cell, when substances leave, we will call it as plasmolyzed. So sometimes you might hear this word flaccid also. So take note of the difference between plasmolyzed and flaccid, and also depends on how strict your school mark you also. Yeah, because for schools that are very strict, they will only accept you to use the word flaccid only when it's wilting. Because flaccid actually is referring to the texture. So flaccid is actually saying that the substance is becoming very soft. Like, like if you buy McDonald's fries, then you put it inside a paper bag, then it'll become like soggy, then like squishy, like soft like that, right? And that kind of texture, it is called flaccid. So this kind of like the stem of the plant to become flaccid is only when the plant is wilting. Like maybe the flower can no longer be upright cause wilting, then it will like droop down. Yeah, so this part here, when you touch it, it will be like soft, squishy like that. And that is called flaccid. So flaccid is only a word you use for wilting. Yeah, so normally for plant cell, we just use plasmolized. Only if question say wilting, you then say plasmolized and flaccid. If not, normally just write plasmolized is enough already. Okay, so next, what is plasmolized is explained at the bottom. Okay, so let me scroll down. So I hope you all are done highlighting everything. Yep, so I shall move on. So if I am too fast, you can actually take a screenshot so that you can continue to highlight it after class. Okay, so moving on. Yep, so plasmolized means that the cell membrane pulls away from the cell wall. Can you see that this is the cell membrane? It is now no longer touching the cell wall. So this is the cell wall. Yeah, so the cell membrane is no longer touching the cell wall. That is called plasmolized. Okay. Yep. So generally, the size of the plant cell should still remain around the same because cell wall keep it a regular shape. Only the cell membrane shrink. And take note that for biological drawing, don't check nucleus. In biological drawing, just in a way, it's like you don't waste time. Yeah, don't go and color it. So nucleus, you just draw a circle, will do. Don't go and color it. Okay, so how you write when there is movement by diffusion, this is the template. But sometimes questions like to trick you and say that, hey, they give you two substances. They are of the same concentration. So if same concentration, that means there is no diffusion, right? So if there is no diffusion, what you should be writing will be this version instead. So you need to tell me, like, since potato cell has the same concentration of salt as the surrounding solution, so there was no concentration gradient and no movement of salt molecules by diffusion. Okay, so total for diffusion, there is two templates, one over here and one over here. This one less tested, but still within the syllabus. So need to memorize still. But the first one is more commonly tested. So make sure you memorize this because you will still need it in nutrition in plant topic also. Okay, so moving on to the next page over here. So need to know what are the substances that can pass through the partially permeable membrane. Yep, so over here, I've actually put the tick and cross. Yep, so for salt, it depends on what salt it is, because I think you learned before in chemistry, right, that salt is ionic bonding. Ionic bonding is like metal plus non-metal. So it depends on, in the periodic table, which metal and non-metal you take. Because if the metal and the non-metal you take is like the very big size atom, then they cannot pass through. Yep, so salt is like depends. So if question were to give you salt solution, always think of water being the one that can pass through. Yep, so let me write down a reminder over here for you. You can write down also. So whenever question says salt or sugar solution, whenever you see the word solution, solution means that there is water. Okay, that means you mix it with water. So for salt or sugar solution, it is always water molecules that is diffusing. Yeah, the water molecules is the one that is moving. Yeah, because for salt, you do not know whether can it pass through or not. Then for sugar, it depends on the type of sugar. So if it's the smaller size, like the monosaccharides, glucose, yes, can pass through. But if it's the disaccharide, like sucrose, and polysaccharide, like starch, then cannot pass through because they are too huge in size. Yeah, so for salt and sugar, cause like you're also not very sure, can the salt or sugar pass through? Always think of water being the one that pass through instead. Okay. Yep, so generally the small size ones can pass through. So like water, iodine solution, ink, like blue ink, red ink can pass through. The monosaccharide, glucose, as well as the digested protein, which is amino acid, can pass through. The rest cannot pass through. Yep, so done. That's all for diffusion. So far, anyone have any questions? If you are shy to ask, you can type it in the chat also can. If not, you can ask me through the mic. Any questions so far before I proceed on to the next section on osmosis? Okay, so I shall move on. Okay, so next part on osmosis. So for definition of osmosis, also need to know. So same thing also, over here is a net. So it is okay for some water molecules to move in the opposite direction as mentioned just now, as long as overall net, more molecules are moving from higher to lower water potential will do. And take note that for osmosis, we use the word water potential. Don't use the word water concentration. There's no such word called water concentration. For water, it has to be potential. If you want to use concentration, can. It will be for all other substances except water. Okay. Okay, then next is need to take note that for osmosis, you must have a partially permeable membrane. So maybe example, if I say I spill water from one end of the table, then it flow to another end of the table. So class, do you all think is that considered as osmosis? Maybe can you click like the yes, no button in reaction? So if I were to spill water, so the water flow from one end of my table to the other end of the table. Is that osmosis? Are you able to tell? Everyone very shy, I don't dare to click. It's okay to click wrongly because I also won't penalize you. Yep, so very good. Majority is right. The answer is no. Okay, it's not osmosis because there is no partially permeable membrane on my table. Yeah, so must have partially permeable membrane for osmosis to happen. Okay, then next is again same thing. Whenever question asks you to explain like for the potato cell, like how come like got like the potato cell like change in size, then this is the template that you can use. So same thing, you fill in the blank according to the question. Then for this described cell, it will be over here. So for the described cell over here, you will write your answer as one of these four. This table is exactly the same as the diffusion one. Yeah, so once you memorize for diffusion, yeah, osmosis is the same. Okay, so I take it that you should be done highlighting by now. If you need to continue highlight, maybe you want to screenshot it because I'm going to clear the screen. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so that is for when there is diffusion. Okay, sorry, when there is osmosis, you use this template. If there is no osmosis, you should use the below template to say that both sides have the same water potential and hence no osmosis. For Arya, do you have any questions since I heard you like you unmute your mic? Anything? Nothing? Okay, so I shall move on. So next is need to know the difference between similarity and differences between diffusion and osmosis. This one very commonly tested also. So please go and memorize it. Okay, so I'm telling you what to study for your exam. So you just make sure that these parts that I say must study, make sure you study because highlightly will come out. Okay, so moving on, you should have done putting in the star, right? Okay, so yeah, so that's all for diffusion and osmosis. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I will now move on to nutrition in plants first. After I finish nutrition in plants, we'll then try out the practice question of both movement of substances and nutrition in plants together. Okay, so for nutrition in plants, so for the first section that you need to know will be the internal structure of the leaf. Like all these parts, like you need to know how to label, need to know their functions. So all this is just pure memory work. This one you need to study on your own. Can you just refer to your textbook or your school notes, or if you bought the overmark, the curated notes, you can refer to that also. Okay, so I'll go through the main parts because yeah, time is limited today. Yep, so for the leaf structure over here, you need to know how does carbon dioxide actually flow so that the plant cell can receive the carbon dioxide photosynthesis. Okay, so for the questions that is in like exam, usually they will ask you like this. How does the leaf obtain carbon dioxide needed for photosynthesis? So when they ask you such a question, what you should be doing is you should actually use the diffusion answering template. Yeah, so this template I actually copy and paste from the previous page. Yeah, so if you compare the first page of your notes and this paragraph here, do you realize it's exactly the same? Okay, so for the template, this time around, we will be using this blue color highlighted part. Okay, so we will be using this part to explain for this question, how leaves obtain carbon dioxide. Okay, so how does it obtain? So need to understand the procedure first, because only after you understand is then easier to memorize. Okay, so let's take a look at this diagram here. Okay, so for carbon dioxide to reach the inside of the leaf cell, mainly is that we need to have the carbon dioxide to reach this layer, which is called the palisade mesophyll, because this layer is the uppermost layer that has chloroplast. So take note, okay, that for the waxy cuticle and the upper epidermis is actually a transparent layer that doesn't have chloroplast. It is the palisade mesophyll that is the main site of photosynthesis, because that is the layer that has the most amount of chloroplast. Okay, so for carbon dioxide to reach here, first, carbon dioxide, of course, is from the surrounding air. So for carbon dioxide from the surrounding air, it has to enter through the stoma, into the intercellular airspace. So for it to move from one region to another region, this process is diffusion, because carbon dioxide move from higher to lower concentration. Next, the carbon dioxide will move from the intercellular airspace into the spongy mesophyll, also by diffusion. Then from the spongy mesophyll, because spongy mesophyll has a thin layer of moisture, a thin film of moisture, so the carbon dioxide will dissolve onto the thin film of moisture, then diffuse into the palisade mesophyll. Yeah, so mainly it is diffusion plus dissolving. So how do you write out the proper, like, complete answer? So I've actually written out the answer nice for you over here. Just to let you know, I tend to abbreviate AT as answering technique. So that means I'm saying that I'm just copying this answering technique. So since this question is about carbon dioxide, that's why the blank I fill in will be carbon dioxide particles. So carbon dioxide diffuse from where to where? So it diffused from the surrounding air into the leaf. So that's number 1, which I've labeled over here. Surrounding air into the leaf through the stomata. Then just continue copy down a concentration gradient. Full stop. Then the second part, also same thing, use back the same answering technique. Fill in the blank, carbon dioxide again. Diffuse from where to where? So this time around, it diffused from the intercellular airspace to the spongy mesophyll. So that's why, it's over here. Diffuse from the intercellular airspace to the spongy mesophyll. Then continue copy down a concentration gradient. Then the third one is the dissolving, as indicated over here. So in this case, it will be that carbon dioxide have to dissolve in the thin film of moisture that is surrounding the spongy mesophyll. Then this is to increase the rate of diffusion. Okay, sorry, people, can you help me to amend a little bit? Actually, it should be called spongy mesophyll. Like, can you amend it? Yeah, not sponge mesophyll. Sorry. Okay, then the fourth arrow, as you can see in the diagram above, it will be diffusion again. So whenever it's diffusion, just use back this same template. You see, dissolved carbon dioxide, which is the blank, diffuse from where to where? Diffuse from the spongy mesophyll to the palisade mesophyll. Continue to copy down a concentration gradient. So this part here, this time around is not about cell. So this is to answer the question. This time around, you need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. That's why you answer back the question. Okay. Okay, so for the Jermaine needs the worksheet. Okay, hold on. Let me see whether can I send Jermaine the worksheet. Do you receive my email? Because I actually emailed you yesterday. Okay, let me just send Jermaine a copy. The notes. Wait, I can't send through to Jermaine. Okay, Jermaine, in that case, right, can you scan the QR code here to get both of them, both the notes and the worksheet? Okay, so answering Catherine's question, why need to write do you need to write the word down a concentration gradient? Is it compulsory to write? Yes, you should include it. Depend on your school also, because if school is strict, you need to give a very complete answer. You need to have the word down a concentration gradient. But if your school teacher is lenient kind, then I would say yeah, it will be okay to omit it as long as you have the word higher to lower. But it's always best to give a more complete answer because you don't know how strict the teacher will be marking it. So just double check, Jermaine, are you done scanning both QR code? Can I move on? So Harini is asking to explain the drawing on the first page again. You mean just now the square thing, the rectangle thing that I'm drawing, is it? Okay, can. Okay, so what I'm trying to say about net movement is you have to see like overall the number of particles that are moving. So that means if I were to have, like in this case, I have more particles moving to a region of less particles, this is definitely diffusion, right? But if I draw an arrow in the opposite direction, it is still considered as correct because as long as I have more particles moving down the concentration gradient from a region of higher to lower, so you look at the overall, more of them are moving from high to low. Only one is moving from low to high. So if you check the net, also called overall, net means overall. Yeah, because like for example, if you're shopping, then what's the price you pay after discount? That is called net price. That means the overall price, inclusive of the discount. Yeah, so net, you realize that, oh, overall, particles are still moving from high to low concentration. That's why this is still diffusion. So for diffusion, it's okay for some particles to move in the opposite direction because particles, as learned in chemistry, are always in constant random motion. Random. Particles do not know where they move. So it can be random such that it can be in the opposite direction. Yeah, so as long as net overall is down, the concentration will do. Okay, good that you understand now. Okay, so let's continue. I was here. Yep, so done explaining for this part. So I shall move on to the next page. So for nutrition in plants, nutrition in plants is actually just equals to photosynthesis. Yeah, so for photosynthesis, you all know the photosynthesis equation, right? You will need not only carbon dioxide, you also need water. That's why also need to know how to write the answer for how plants obtain water. So for water, it will be through the roots from the soil. So for water, as mentioned, water, then since plant cell has a partially permeable membrane, that means, yeah, it will be osmosis because water, liquid state, and partially permeable membrane. So for the osmosis answering technique, same thing, we will also be using the second sentence over here to phrase as the answer. Okay, so let's take a look and understand like the process first before we look at the answer. Okay, so for plants, how do they absorb water? They will first absorb water from the soil into this thing that has a long protrusion. So this thing that has a long protrusion is the, what is this? Can someone identify for me? What's the name of this yellow color one here? What's this? The one with long protrusion. Yes, correct. It's the root hair cell. Thank you, Lauren. Yep. So water will move in through osmosis from the soil into the root hair cell. Then from the root hair cell, they will move into this green color region. By chance, anyone knows what is the cell right beside root hair cell? Do you all know what is this green color cell here? Anyone knows? The cell that is beside root hair cell, this green one, what is this cell called? So no one knows. Okay, so this green color one, it is called not cortex, not xylem, root tri. The answer is actually root cell. Yeah, so actually, you know, your root is like of a certain thickness. Only the hair that is coming out, that is then the root hair cell. So the main root, yeah, this is the root cell. Okay, so only when arrow up, so these like tubes, right, where substances can flow, this one is then the xylem. Then xylem is one of the tube, right? This is the water carrying tube. Then there's another tube that is beside xylem, right? So which is the other tube that is in the plant? Our vascular bundle. Beside xylem, which is the other vascular bundle? Yes, phloem. Yeah, so this is actually the phloem lah. Okay, so yeah, so in this case, water will move from the root hair cell to the root cell to the xylem. Then it will go up by transpiration pool to go up all the way to the leaf. So this part over here is leaf. Okay, so this is the root. This part here is the leaf. So in the leaf from the xylem, it will move two ways. One, it will be used for photosynthesis by the palisade mesophyll. The other part, it will be lost to the surrounding air, which is transpiration. Okay, so let's take a look at 4A first. Oops, my 4 like not very clear. 4A. Yep, so for 4A, it will be from the xylem. It will go to the spongy mesophyll. Then it will go to the palisade mesophyll by osmosis. Yeah, so once it reaches the palisade mesophyll, you can use it for photosynthesis. Another pathway, it will be from the xylem to the spongy mesophyll to the intercellular airspace, and this is evaporation already. Because it's from water, if you go to the airspace, air means gas, right? So from liquid state, which is like the xylem is carrying liquid water, to the airspace, which is gaseous water vapor. That's why this process is evaporation. Yep. Then from the intercellular airspace to come out, it will be same as the previous page. Yeah, it will still be diffusion. Because on the previous page, we have also learned this over here. From surrounding to the airspace is diffusion. That's why likewise for this diagram here, now it's opposite direction. From the airspace to the surrounding, it is also diffusion. Yep. So this is the process. Okay, so now let's see how do we write out this whole process in proper sentence using the answering technique. Yep, so it's over here. Okay, so cortical cell, don't need to involve cortical cell over here. Okay, so let's take a look at the answering technique here. So for the sentence, you just copy water or water molecules. If you know that it's entering or leaving, you can specify, but if you're not sure, you can use the word move. Yeah, so move from where to where. So in this case, it started off from the soil to the root hair cell. So that's why it will be from the soil to the root hair cell, continue to copy down the water potential gradient all the way until osmosis. Okay, so actually it will be good if you also include through a partially permeable membrane. But I never include is because if not, my answer will be very long. Don't you think? Just one question, my answer is really very long, so I omitted it. But of course, it's always good to give a more complete answer. Okay, so now that it moved into the root hair cell already, next it will be the root from the root hair cell to the root cell to the xylem. So that's why the next part, it will be using the same template again. Water move from where to where? Move from root hair cell to root cell to xylem, then continue to copy until the word osmosis. Then next is once it reach the xylem already, it will go up from the root to the leaf by transpiration pool. Then, so next is there is two paths, the A or B. So you have to read the question. What are they asking you? So is the question under the topic of nutrition in plants? So if it's nutrition in plants, like they will ask you about how the plants obtain water for photosynthesis, you write number 1, 2, 3, and 4A. But if the question is a transport in plant question, you write 1, 2, 3, and 4B, because transport in plants is about like transpiration, right? Maybe they'll ask you about question about how come the plants can lose water and wilt. So if it's such kind of question for transport in plant, you use 4B instead. Okay. So HJ is asking, so the gas which is being diffused to the surrounding is oxygen? No. This is my question. It's about water. So that means the gas that is diffusing out is water in the gaseous state. So what's water in gaseous state? So HJ, do you know what is water in the gaseous state? Yes, correct. So you answer yourself. Very good. So the answer is water vapor. Yeah, so all the gas that are moving, it will be water vapor for this question. Okay. Yeah, so so that's why as you can see over here, so for 4A, which is go to the palisade mesophyll for photosynthesis. So you just continue, right? Also, you use back the same template again. So it will be water move from where to where, and then end with the word osmosis. That's why it will be water move from xylem to spongy mesophyll to palisade, because palisade is the one that photosynthesize. Then continue copy the entire template until the word osmosis. Then answer back the question. Also, the question is about like photosynthesis, then you answer back. So yeah, water is now being used by the palisade mesophyll cell for photosynthesis. Okay, so for question if it's in the chapter of transport in plant instead, so how do you write your answer? So usually it's about question about the plant like wilting, or maybe like how does transpiration pool occurs. So this is the template. Yep, so you say that same thing, you just follow the diagram. Yeah, so you say that water move out from the xylem to the spongy mesophyll cell as seen over here. Xylem to the spongy. Yep, then the water will evaporate from the thin film of moisture. So remember, okay, whenever you talk about spongy, must always mention about the thin film of moisture into the intercellular air space. And then when the stomata are open, the water vapor will diffuse out. Yep, then you answer back the question. Yeah, so if the question is about transpiration pool, you write transpiration pool. If the question is about wilting, then you say resulting in the plants to wilt. Yeah, so you answer according to the question. Okay, so I know that it is not easy to remember such huge chunk of words. That's why I've actually structured the answer in a way that is you just memorize the previous chapter, movement of substance. You can come up with the answer naturally for this part over here. And in biology, because if you memorize words and words and words, it's very hard to like screenshot words in your brain, right? So what you can do is you try to screenshot picture. You try to remember this picture. Like, see, now you see this picture. If you close your eyes, you will be able to remember how the picture look like, right? Yeah, so you use the picture to remember. Once you remember the picture, then you just apply the answering technique. Then your whole answer for the whole paragraph will be out already. Yeah, so there is no need to memorize word for word for this 2-page answering technique. Okay, so use picture to help you. That's why I keep drawing and show you diagrams. Yeah, screenshot pictures is easier. Okay, so the next part over here, my notes are always structured in a way that can help you to answer your school exam question. Yeah, so you read the question also. If the question is asking you this, these are the factors affecting rate of photosynthesis. So one of the factor is temperature. So if the question is asking you, how does temperature affect the rate of photosynthesis? If question only asks you to describe how temperature affects rate of photosynthesis, you just write the first column you do. But if the question asks you to describe and explain, then you need to write both columns. So mainly is because, the explanation is because during photosynthesis, you need to have enzymes involved. Yeah, so that's why it's dependent on temperature. So actually, the explanation here, you realize that it's actually very similar or almost the same as what you learned in the topic of enzyme, right? Because in enzyme, factors affecting enzymes are temperature and pH. Yeah, so you realize that you see the explanation is the same about the frequency of collision thing. Yeah, so it's the same point. So actually memorize for enzyme, this is actually similar. So due to time constraint, this one I will leave it to you to study it on your own. So I've already written out nice for you to write in worksheet. Later, we might have some practice question. We can see how you can apply this template also. Okay. Yep. So it's I actually just chop it into different sections. So usually when you have a graph question, you chop them into different sections. Like you chop it into the region where when it is low temperature, when it is increasing, when it's at the highest, and when it's decreasing. Yeah, so usually for graph question, you have to chop them up as well as must cite the numbers. Yeah, so that's why it's always a good practice to cite the numbers. So later in our practice question, I'll be actually teaching you all on the skills on how to tackle database question. That means like when it's graph and table. So how do you answer such like application question? Yep, it will be in the worksheet later. Okay, so moving on to the second factor, it will be carbon dioxide. So for carbon dioxide, same thing, describe versus explain. Okay, so take note that whenever you see all this graph, besides describe and explain, you need to also know how to interpret the graph. Yep, so usually question about graph, they like to ask you is about this thing called the limiting factor. Yeah, so you need to know that generally for the first part, okay, I'll use this graph. Okay, so for the first part, if they were to give you a concentration, okay, so maybe like carbon dioxide concentration or like light concentration, which is intensity. Yeah, so whenever they tell you like, as I increase the amount of like carbon dioxide or concentration, you always chop the graph into two parts. you chop the graph into the parts where it's curved line versus horizontal line. So you need to know that for the front part, it is always because your carbon dioxide concentration is low. So for the front part, it's always carbon dioxide being the limiting factor. Okay. Then for the second half, because you spend a lot of carbon dioxide, right? So since you got a lot of carbon dioxide, that means behind is no longer carbon dioxide is a limiting factor anymore. So that's why for the behind part, it will be other factors that is the limiting factor. So that's why I wrote over here. The limiting factor is not carbon dioxide anymore. So usually the limiting factor here, it will be other factors. Yeah. So what are the other factors affecting photosynthesis? It will be the one above, temperature, as well as the next one, light intensity. Okay, so can you follow me and label it in your notes now? Yeah, follow and copy it down. Yep, so for the first section, the limiting factor is carbon dioxide because I have very little amount of carbon dioxide. For the second half, because I have too much carbon dioxide already, so it will be the other factors that is the limiting factor instead. Okay, then next is for the describe part. So as mentioned, whenever it's data question, that means graph or table, must always quote the value. So for this question here, it's like it started from 0. So you should write that as, oh, by the way, in exam, please spell out the full name, carbon dioxide. Don't write CO2, okay? Because here is notes, that's why I just summarized it. Yeah. So as carbon dioxide concentration increases from this to this. So take note, this is data application skill. Yeah. So can you follow me and highlight? So must quote the number. Yep. So all these red color ones, it will be, you must always cite the values. So this is needed for graph question as well as table question. So Catherine is asking, how do we know that carbon dioxide is the limiting factor when the percentage of carbon dioxide is given, like they give you 0.03%. Okay, so if they specify a specific percentage, usually they should mark out a point for you. Okay, at this point, this is exactly 0.03%. They should mark it out for you. Yeah. So by right, if they mark out 0.03% to be on the left side, like the yellow color region, then carbon dioxide is the limiting factor. But if they label the carbon dioxide percentage on the right side, like the green color section, that means carbon dioxide is not the limiting factor anymore. So that means it depends on your value is at which part of the graph. So Catherine can understand or still don't quite understand? Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, so take note that whenever graph question, make sure you quote the number. So for this case, as carbon dioxide increases from 0 to how much? So you just write down the number. So you read the graph, this is maybe 50, then you write in 50. Concentration, concentration is x-axis. Yep, so you label maybe concentration is 50, then you write in 50. Then rate of photosynthesis, which is the y-axis, increase to what you need. So you read this number, maybe this number is 100, and then you write in 100. So must always cite the values. Okay, so this is a very important skill. Once you don't cite the number, right, even if your whole answer correct, as this increases, that increases, yes, your answer is correct, right? But you won't get any marks because it is a skill that you really need to quote the values for graph and tables. Okay, so must remember that. Okay, then for the explanation is because as you got more and more carbon dioxide means you have more and more substrate, for reactions to take place. For the second half, as your concentration increases more than this amount, beyond the orange line, photosynthesis remains the same. That is horizontal line. So the explanation is because you got too much substrate already, but your enzyme is limited. That's why the rate of photosynthesis is limited by the other things that as mentioned here, temperature and light intensity. Okay. So far, any questions for this part over here? And I take it that you are done copying and highlighting, right? If not, you want to quickly take a screenshot, then I'll move on already. So no questions, right? Okay, so I shall move on. At any time point when you have questions, just feel free to type it in the chat. I will address all questions. Okay, so the last factor, light intensity. Yep, so need to know how does light intensity affect the rate of photosynthesis? Same thing, I present the answer 9 for you. Describe, you copy the left side. Describe and explain, you copy both sides. Yep, so need to know that I have divided them now into region A, B, and C. Yep, so same thing, you always go by curved line versus horizontal line. So you realize that for region A and B, the limiting factor will be light intensity. But for region C, it will not be light intensity anymore. Okay, so I will highlight it. Okay, so I'll do it in 2 colors. So do you notice A and B, which is like the slant line, versus C is the horizontal line. So if region C, light intensity is not the limiting factor, that means other factors will be the limiting factor. So what are the other factors of photosynthesis? That will be temperature and carbon dioxide concentration. Also, these will be the limiting factor. Okay, so let's also label it just like what we did for the previous graph on concentration. Done highlighting, right? Because not much to highlight. I move on. Okay, so over here, let's label it. So for the first color highlighting, it was this part, right? This is the second color highlighting. Yep, so for the first part, the slant line, this part, the limiting factor will be the light intensity. Yeah, because as you can see, the light intensity is like very little. Then for the second part over here, the limiting factor will be the rest. Yeah, which is the temperature and carbon dioxide concentration. Yep, so make sure you follow and write it in. Okay, so yeah, so mainly that's about it lah. Okay, so next is need to know the explanation. Yep, so so whenever it's described is very easy because describe is just like state the relationship kind, like as something increase, the other thing also increase, which is still the same as the previous page, the carbon dioxide one, you see? Like as something increases, the other thing also increase. So describe is very easy. It's like just describing what you see in the graph. Is the explain part that you need to like know like what are the keywords that are needed. Yeah, so the explanation will be because you need light for photosynthesis. Yep. Then this part over here is because limited by other factors. Yeah, so that will be the explanation. Then with that, I think I should be done with this topic already, right? Yeah, I'm done with this topic. So just to check with all of you, so far any questions before we move on to the worksheets? So far everything all right? Okay then, so let's now swap over to the other worksheet. So I told you to prepare the 2 stacks, right? I give you 2 documents, right? So this is the second document, which is on the worksheet questions. Okay, so over here, maybe I just take a little break first before we continue on. Yeah, so just to also share with you that for OMA, the registration for the 2023 group tuition are now available already. Yeah, so far, these are the locations that have lessons. Yep, so you can choose the outlet that is like nearer to your house. Yeah, then these are the subjects that Overmark will be offering for next year. Yep, so if you are, after attend today's lesson, like maybe if you are keen in signing up for combined science lesson for Set 4, yep, so these are the weekday timing and weekend timing. Yeah, so when you sign up, you can actually indicate like what is your preferred day and time so that we can try to open a class that is like that suits the majority's needs. Yeah, so these are the subjects, days and time. Yeah, so if you are interested to sign up for Overmark's regular tuition for like next year, yeah, you can actually scan this QR code, which will bring you to the website. Yeah, so right now they are actually having a promotion. Yeah, so for Overmark, they actually have this early bird promotion. So if you were to decide that after today you realize that, oh, I feel that like Overmark's teacher style, the teaching like suits my learning needs, then you feel that like you need tuition because maybe like you are not strong in science, then yeah, if you were to sign up with us right now, so these are the benefits you will get. Yeah, you will be able to receive free curated notes. So that means you will receive the entire combined science syllabus notes, yeah, for 3 subjects. So it will be combined science plus 2 other subjects of your choice. Yeah, so you can receive the notes. Yeah, so it's like additional notes on top of your school notes for you to study. Yeah, as well as we will prioritize the timing that you can make it and then arrange lesson time based on the time slot that you have provided us. And after today, yeah, we will send you this end of year exam kit. So if you notice the notes today that I've given you is only like 3 topics, right? But for your end of year exam, there are so many other topics. So the other topics how? So since you are signing up with us, it means you are my student already, right? So of course, I want you to do well for your upcoming Sec 3 end of year exam. So I will then send you the entire topic from the first topic cells all the way until your exam topic. Yeah, so it will help to cover and help you to cope for your this coming end of year exam for the Sec 3 exam. Yeah, so to sign up for this early bird, it is only available until 30th September. But of course, if you have decided, I recommend you to sign up early because the earlier you sign up, the earlier I can send you this end of year exam kit, right? If you sign up until like at 29th September, then later your paper is like what, 2nd October, then like by the time you receive it, also you don't have time to read through it. Yeah, so this will be the benefits of you signing up like immediately. Okay, then next is if you are like a bit undecisive, feel that like maybe I see how my end of year result first. Yeah, so if you are like not sure yet, there is actually a trial package and we will be having another round of free lessons again. Yeah, so actually whether or not you want to sign up with us, actually in November, you just continue to stay on Overmark's Telegram channel. Yeah, then we will be offering another round of free lesson again. Yeah, so you can get to attend another topic of, then you get to receive the another topic of notes for free and lesson for free also. Yeah, even if you don't want to sign up. Yeah, so for the trial package, I will strongly recommend you all to like still like participate and sign up. Yeah, because you can try out. Yep. So if you were to sign up only like in October. Yep. So you will be receiving a free trial class. And then this time around, the curated notes will be less subject lah, only 2. Yeah. So it will be the subject you sign up plus 1 other of your choice. Yeah. Then because the timing is set based on those who sign up during the early bird stage, the early bird promo. That's why by the time reach this package, you have to choose from whatever timing that's available lah. Yeah. Then of course, if you still undecisive, even still, yeah, we still have the normal intake lah. That means you can join anytime lah, like next year, January, February, March, April. Yeah, you can still join. Then first lesson is still free for you. Yeah, but then you will only receive the Overmark curated notes for that subject that you join. So that means if you join combined science, then you will only receive the notes of combined science. Then by then also depends on availability, because depends on the popularity of the teacher and the time slot also. So maybe if that time slot, that class is already full, then it's not available for you anymore. So of course, it's like first come, first serve. Yeah, so if you can decide earlier, it will be of course good to sign up earlier because you will get to like receive all the like perks. Yeah. So so now if you were to sign up, so like if you want to like ask your parents like, can you sign up for tuition for next year? So these are the pricing. So all lessons are standardized to be 2 hours, and lesson mode will be either physical, that means face-to-face, or you want to do fully online also can. You you want to sometimes appear physically, sometimes appear online also can. Yeah, so the lesson will be like hybrid mode. That means there will be both physical and online students present at the same time. Yeah. Yep. So so just more info on Overmark. Yeah, done. Yep. So if you are interested, you just sign the QR code lor. Then you can apply for the next year classes. Yep, done for the promos. Okay, so now let's continue on with the worksheet. Just to check, anyone got any questions regarding like the signing up? Okay, so no questions, right? Okay, then I'll proceed on to move on to the worksheet. Okay, so let's look at the questions. So due to time constraint, the worksheet style for today is we won't be doing every single question because it's very time consuming to write such long answers. So instead, I will just go through with you on how do you like tackle such question. Like you know how to find the answer, we'll do. Oh, Alice is asking, is the end of year kit for Sec 3 exam this year or for O level in general? This part here, right, which is the end of year exam kit, this one is the for your Sec 3 exam syllabus. Yeah, so this exam kit is for your Sec 3 exam syllabus. So it is the curated notes that is the Sec 4 topics. Okay, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, great. Okay, so let's continue on. Okay, so let's take a look at the first question over here. Diana is asking about for the trial package. Let me go back. So regarding the trial package, you are asking, do we learn Sec 3 or Sec 4 topics? Oh, because this is in November. So November, you already finished your Sec 3 class, right? So that means you will be either doing a Sec 3 revision topic or a Sec 4 head start. Yeah, so that will actually depend on the teacher. Yeah, so for like combined science, it's not guaranteed me teaching. Yeah, because it also depends on location, because different teachers are being like allocated to the different location. Yeah, so the lesson, it will depend on teacher. Can be Sec 3 or Sec 4. Yeah. So then Alice is asking, do we do revision from Sec 1 to 4? We only do revision from Sec 3 to Sec 4. Yeah, because actually, if you notice your Sec 1 topic and Sec 2 topics are actually repeated in Sec 3, right? Do you realize your Sec 3 topics that you learned this year are all what you learned in lower Sec, but it's in a more chim version, and then plus there are more topics. Yeah, so in a way, when we revise Sec 3 topic, we are already revising Sec 1 and 2. Yeah, so yes, definitely there will be revision for Sec 3 topic, because for your O levels, you need to also score well in your Sec 3 topics, right? So definitely, yeah, we will revise on your Sec 3 topics. That's why for overmark tuition, after you sign up with us, lesson will actually start in December, not in January. Because in December, we can at least revise some of the more difficult and maybe your weaker topic. So also, the teachers will also like ask for like feedbacks from you all, like, do you all have any topics of preference? Or you can even tell your own teacher that, teacher, can we like do this topic because I did badly for this topic in my EOY? Yeah, then the teacher will then arrange to do that topic. So after doing some revision, then the teacher will start teaching you the first topic of next year. So that, you know, when you go to school, at least you already have some background knowledge. It's easier for you to understand when school teachers start teaching you. Yeah. Okay, so then another question I have is the curated notes for the trial class. This one here, is it for Sec 4? Yes, it's the entire Sec 3 to Sec 4 syllabus. So it's like almost like your textbook. You know, your textbook got the first topic to the last topic. Yeah, so the curated notes is also same thing. It's the first to the last topic. Yeah. So the next question I have is, if the trial class with friends is how many days and how to sign up for the trial class? Oh, the trial class, you also sign up at Overmark's website, which is also this same QR code, but this only when you sign up in October. Yeah, but of course, sorry, this point here, I'm not very sure. I can maybe double check and get back to you. But if I'm not wrong, this is only open when October comes, because right now it's under the early bird. Or maybe you hold on, let me see whether for the Overmark website, is there the trial package already available? Because that is more for the October timing. Yeah. Okay, so based on the Overmark website, tuition O levels. Yeah, so let me see, is there the trial package? Right now, okay, I just randomly click here, or maybe I just click the combined bio one, since we are having combined bio tuition now. There's the combined bio here. So if you click register, let's see, can you apply for the trial one? Oh yes, can. Yeah, there is two options. Yeah, so you can actually select the trial one like even now. Yeah, can also. Yep. So for the trial class, you're asking how many days? It will be one subject, 1 2-hour lesson. Okay, or depend on teacher. Sometimes it might be 1.5 hours. So this time around, our today's lesson is 1.5 hours. Yeah, so it will be just one full class of 1.5 hours or 2 hours. So it's one subject, one class. Yeah, so if you sign up for 3 subjects, then it might be on 3 different days because it's 3 different classes. So Miko, okay, right? Then Kirsten is asking, will the answer for this practice question be sent out to us? Yes, because actually today I don't have time to go through every single question. So I'll just teach you how to tackle. Then you can practice on your own. Then you check using the answer key, which I'll be providing only at the end of the lesson. Yep, so that answers Kirsten and Harini's question. Any other questions? Okay, anyways, if you anytime got any question, just feel free to type it in the chat. Then I will answer you. Okay, so let's take a look at this question over here. Okay, so for question number 1, the diagram shows a bag containing sucrose solution. The bag is made from a material that acts as partially permeable membrane. Part A, define partially permeable membrane. So mainly just explain what do you think does the word partially permeable means? We'll do. Okay, so this one I leave it to you to try out on your own. After you try, you just check the answer key. Very straightforward. Okay, so for part B, at the start, the bag containing sucrose solution weighed 30 grams. The bag was then put into a beaker of water for 1 hour. And after 1 hour, the bag was taken out of the water and weighed again. And this time around, from 30 grams, it became 33 grams. Calculate the percentage increase in mass of the bag after 1 hour and show your working. So this one is like quite mathematical, right? So what is the increase in mass? So can you tell me how many grams is it? So what is the increase in mass? Cannot tell. I thought it's very straightforward. Thank you for your responses. Yep, correct. It's 3 grams. Yep, so the increase in mass, it will be 3 grams because you take 33 minus 30, right? Then whenever you over, do you know you over which one or not? Do you over the initial one or do you over the final one? Do you all know? So what's the denominator? Should be the initial or is it the final? Is it 30 or 33? Yep, thank you, HJ. Yep, so yep, thank you, Kirsten too. Yep, it's always the initial, okay? Then since they're asking for percentage, then just times 100%. I leave it to you to press calculator on your own. I will move on. Okay, so moving on to part C, explain why the bag increase in mass after 1 hour. I give you a hint, the word explain. Whenever you see the word explain, what should you think of? When you see the word explain. How to answer such question? Oh, like a lot of lines are 3 marks. So how to answer such question? Explain. Any idea? Just now in the topic of diffusion, osmosis, I did teach you, right? How to tackle explain type of question, right? Yes, very good. Thank you, Miko. Yes, use the answering technique. I shortcut, okay? AT means answering technique. Can you write it down? So this one, I leave it to you to try on your own at home at your own time, okay? You just use the whole answering technique template to write it in. So for this question, which answering technique should we use? Should we use the diffusion answering technique or osmosis answering technique? Which answering technique? Very good. It's osmosis answering technique. Because if you look over here, it's a sucrose solution. As mentioned, solution means got water. So sucrose versus water, you go and check my table. So in my table, I will tell you that sucrose cannot pass through. Let me scroll back. Yeah, over here. You see, that sucrose cannot pass through the permeable membrane. That's why it should be water that is the one passing through. Yeah, so that's why in this case, it will be water. So water, it will be osmosis. Okay, so this one you write in on your own. But we move on to the next part. Yes, database question. This kind, I think you're like weaker. That's why I purposely select database question to teach you how to solve it. For 2A, you do it on your own hand because it's just 1 mark question, very straightforward. I move on to the database, because that is the difficult part, the data. Okay, so in an investigation, follow me, follow closely. Some students placed a plant in bright light. They measured the rate of photosynthesis at different temperatures. The results are shown below. So they show you like that. Then part 1, Describe the results shown in the graph above. Okay, so remember I told you, whenever you have graph question, you must always do what? Whenever got graph question, you must always, what's the skill that I teach you? Must have one. If you don't have, then your mark is gone. Very good. You must always cite the values. So must have this kind of numbers, okay? Like from temperature of 10 to 30, the number increase from like how much to how much. I need to have all these numbers. Okay? So since they are just asking you to describe is just telling me, the number increase or decrease, and then from what number to what number will do. That's all. Don't need to explain. Okay? So I write over here, don't need to explain. You just tell me increase, decrease, from what number to what number will do. So usually the way you structure your answer will be, you base on the x-axis first. So you can say that as temperature increases from how much to how much? Yeah, so this time around, we only have 10 to 30, right? So you write 10. Okay, I cannot put degree sign. You put the degree sign in cap. Yep, then you mention what happened to the rate of photosynthesis. Yep, so the rate of photosynthesis. Then you tell me like, is it increase or decrease? From how much? And based on the y-axis, what's the unit? They give the unit of arbitrary unit, and then you just follow their units. So take note, okay, even when you write your answer, not only the number, you need the unit together with it. So that means you cannot just say temperature 10 to 30, must have degrees Celsius. So same for the photosynthesis. So you must also have the unit. They say arbitrary unit, you follow arbitrary unit. Yeah, like that. Okay, so once you write like that, like the relationship, this will be only 1 mark, but they actually gave you 2 marks. So maybe you need to like further infer, like what do you notice about numbers? So maybe you want to like go and identify like what are the y-axis values? Then do you all see any pattern? Yeah, so can you go and identify now, everyone? Can you go and read what is each of the value on the y-axis for every single point? Do you see a pattern? So this is only 1 mark. We need to have the second mark. So can you all take a look at your graph now? The value, the y-axis value for the first value, for the first point, and the y-axis value for the second point. Do you all notice a pattern? And then to the third value on the y-axis. Is there any pattern? So no pattern? Approximately, I don't need to be like exactly the same. I give you a hint. So what's the blank? Yeah, it actually doubles. Do you notice? It's kind of like, it's not maybe not exactly the same, but it's kind of double. Yeah, so that will be your second mark. Okay, so I shall move on. So if you are not done copying, maybe you want to like take a screenshot because I'm going to move on in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll clear the screen. Okay, so moving on to the next page. No worries lah. I will provide the answer keys to you. Okay, so for part 2, suggest an explanation for this result. Okay, so can you maybe like flip through the notes? Can you tell me, do you think is that answer in the notes? Can like copy and paste from the notes or not? Or like we have to come out on our own for the answer here? So I give you a hint. So first they say explain. So whenever you see explain, is like first thing you check, you think of checking the notes first. Because explain is like likely to be from the notes. Okay, so you think, is there any answer from the notes? Then this one is about how temperature affects rate of photosynthesis. So maybe you flip to my notes. My notes, I think I have this page of how temperature affect rate of photosynthesis, right? Because I actually listed out the factors affecting rate of photosynthesis. So for this question, do you think can copy from my notes or cannot? So can or cannot copy from my notes? So can or cannot copy from my notes? Is there answer from my notes? Are you flipping through my notes? Can you flip through? Yep, thank you, Zheng Wei. Yes, you can find it from my notes, okay? So this one, you actually use the answering technique. Okay, so I write down again, 80. Do you all know which page of the notes to find the answer? Can I have the page number? So which page can you find the answer from? Explanation on how temperature affects the rate of photosynthesis. Page number? Okay, let's take a look. So Zheng Wei say page 5. Let's take a look. It's over here. Yes, correct. Then you see, isn't the question exactly the same? Then how temperature affects rate of photosynthesis and explain. Yeah, so you just copy from here will do. Since for this question, the graph is going up, the temperature is increasing, right? So we choose this one, the temperature increases. So you copy this whole chunk. So first you must tell me that there's enzyme, and then you copy this whole chunk. So that will be the answer. Okay, so this will be the answer for part 2. Okay, so page 5, first table, second row, right column. Okay, this one you own self copy in on your own at your own time. But yep, so let's move on to part 3. Predict the effects on the rate of photosynthesis if the investigation goes beyond and reach 60 degrees Celsius, and explain your answer. So Rico, you know where to find already, right? Now that I mentioned. So how people, any idea, predict what happened to the rate of photosynthesis? What happened to the rate of photosynthesis? Yeah, correct. It decreases. So why did it decrease is because the explanation is linked to enzyme again, right? When temperature is too high, what happened to your enzyme? What's the explanation? If you look at the notes, it's always about enzyme. Yep, it denatures. So that's the answer already. Okay, so please note down everything, all the hints over here, because I'm going to move on in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving off. Okay, so for question number 3, this one is a very straightforward question. This one I'll leave it to you to do on your own course. Graph drawing, yeah, you slowly go and plot on your own now. Okay, so I purposely put more questions inside so that you can go and practice it. The questions behind here are also more straightforward, like just very short answers, like 1 mark kind. Yeah, then part D is similar to the previous question that we just did. I hope you will be able to answer part D on your own. So this one is similar to previous question. I hope we can get it right. Yeah, then for part E over here, this one describe 2 ways how the structure of the leaf is adapted to photosynthesis. This one is about you just refer to the notes lah. Yeah, you just refer to your school notes. Yeah, so in there will be actually the different structures on like how come they can photosynthesize well. So there are sentences on like the palisade mesophyll. Yeah, about like it has a lot of chloroplasts. Yeah, there are also more points. Yeah, so you go and check the textbook. So I want you all to like, revise your notes also. Yeah, so you can flip through your textbook to find your answer on your own. Done writing down the hints? I move on, okay? Okay, so moving on to part F. So describe how the products of photosynthesis are removed from the leaf. This one, you try on your own. This one, you can't really copy from the notes, but it's something that actually you know. You give it a try first. Then if you really don't know, you then check the answer here. Okay, yep, so done. That's all for the first 2 topics. So Gary is asking, what's the optimum temperature for photosynthesis? The optimum temperature is the optimum temperature of enzyme. That means it is 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now let's move to the notes on transport in humans so that we can then answer the questions here. Okay, so go back to the other copy, the notes. Yeah, over here. Okay, so for transport in human, it's actually mainly made up of 3 sections: the blood vessel, and heart. Okay, so for the blood and blood vessel, I am not intending to go through because they are just facts. It's like you need to know the red blood cell, or what kind of adaptation, and what is the function. white blood cell also need to know the function, plasma function, platelet function. Artery, vein, capillary need to know like the size, the blood pressure in there. Yeah, so for blood and blood vessels, they are just very like factual questions. Yeah, so it is the heart that is a bit harder to remember. Because for the heart, you know, got the different like, sections, got different blood vessels connecting to the heart. Yeah, so for the lesson today, I'll be focusing mainly on the heart. So for the blood and blood vessels, I will leave it to you to study on your own because I've already structured the answer very nicely again. You look at the question. If they ask you to state, you just write this column. If they ask you to state and explain, you write both columns. Okay? Yeah, so I already list out the answer. Nice for you. It's very easy to study. You just study it on your own. Yeah, so these are for the 4 substances. So take note that for substances being transported, only oxygen is transported by the red blood cell. All other substances will be transported by the plasma instead. Okay, so that means including carbon dioxide, any other substance, it will be by the plasma instead. Okay, only oxygen is red blood cell. Okay, strictly only oxygen. Okay, then for platelets, please go and memorize this. Yeah, because this one is super commonly tested. Schools love to ask, how do you clot the blood? So this is the answer. And again, same thing, because I find that like, wow, biology, a lot of things to memorize, right? So if like I got this whole chunk of words, I don't think I can remember. Yeah, so I help you to remember by showing you these pictures. So can you try to like study, that means you try to like screenshot all these pictures in your brain, then it will be actually these answers. So the first box is the first part. Yeah, so first is you must tell me that platelets, so these are platelets, they release enzyme. So they release the enzyme. Then the enzyme will do this conversion. They will convert the soluble fibrinogen to become fibrin. Fibrin is like, you just imagine it to be the threads lah. Yeah. So that means if it's a thread, you know, it can crisscross your wound, then at least it can trap your blood from flowing out. Yep, so that's why for the third step, it will be the fibrin threads form a fibrin net as shown over here. So this is actually a screenshot from this Netflix series, this anime called Cells at Work. Yeah, so actually once the school holiday comes, you can actually watch it. Because the Cells at Work, they actually make all the like, these are the white color cap, these are the white this one is the platelets. Yeah, so the platelets are actually forming the fibrin mesh. So they will actually show you in the cartoon, very cute one. Yeah, so like the person wearing red is like the red blood cell. These small ones are the platelets. So the different blood cells, yeah, they will show you what function they do when like maybe you have cancer cell come in, you have like maybe virus come in. Yeah, so they will show you like what happens in our body in an anime version. Yeah, so I screenshot from the video. Yep, so they form a fibrin net. Then the fibrin net will trap a lot of red color. So this is the red blood cell. Still, they will trap a lot of red blood cell to form a blood clot. Yeah, so maybe you try to screenshot this in your brain, then more likely able to come up with the answer. Okay, so I shall move on for blood vessel. Oh, oops, okay, never mind. Okay, anyway, the title is for the next page. I don't know, somehow it got shifted. Okay, so for blood vessel, this one are just facts. Can you go and study it on your own? Yep, so I have some mnemonics to help you to remember. I got even more mnemonics for the heart. Okay, so for the heart over here, okay, I'm going to make it small so that I can fit the whole page in. If it's a bit too small, you just refer back to your own copy, okay, your notes, since you have a A4 very clear. Okay, so over here, need to know the inside of the heart, the structure. Okay, so right now, can you maybe get 2 color pen? Maybe one for oxygenated. Okay, usually the preferred color is like, red for oxygenated, then blue for deoxygenated. Up to you. Whichever 2 color you take, can you color code it now? Okay, so in this case, so let's trace out the path of how the blood flows. Okay, so for the oxygenated blood, which side contains the oxygenated blood? How to remember? Mnemonics number 1 over here. You go by log of the ring, log. So log refers to left is oxygenated, right is deoxygenated. So now you see, easy to remember already, right? You go by LO/RD. Yep, so that means for the oxygenated, yes, very good. Thank you, Gary. Yep, so it actually enters into the left side. Yep, so when you enter the left side, it will enter from the pulmonary vein. So when it goes in, it will actually go into the atrium. Then from the, so it's on the left side, so oxygenated is on the left side. From the atrium, it will continue go to the ventricle. Then ventricle, it will get out through this aorta. So that's the path for oxygenated blood. Then for deoxygenated blood, so I will change my pen to blue color. So for deoxygenated blood, it will be on the right side. So blood will come in through the vena cava. Then it will enter from the atrium to the ventricle. Then it will get out. Yeah, so actually to remember it, right, you just based on, how to remember like atrium and ventricle. By the way, atrium and ventricle, they are actually known as chambers. Yeah, so let's fill in the blank here. So the 4 chambers are actually the atrium and ventricle. So that means we have the left atrium. Can you fill in the blank now? Left ventricle. So need to know if teacher asks you which chamber is blah, 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 you need to know chamber refers to these 4. Okay. Then right atrium and right ventricle. Yep. So take note that blood always enter the first section, which is the first letter. In our alphabet, the first letter is letter A, right? Yeah, so blood always enter the first chamber that blood enter into. The first chamber is atrium, because letter A, because the first alphabet is the first chamber of the heart that blood flows into. How to remember ventricle below? Can you see that the heart, the shape over here is like V shape? Can you tell? It's like V shape looking, right? That's why the below 2 is V for ventricle. Okay, then next, inside the heart, besides the 4 chambers, make sure you copy it in. Besides the 4 chambers, we also have this kind of doors, which is called the valves. So how to remember the name of all these doors? So how to know left and right? Which one is like bicuspid? Which one is tricuspid? You go by this mnemonic, lab rat. In science experiment, usually people like to test out on lab rats. So you go by, you can ignore the A lah. You just go by L is B, left is bicuspid, right is tricuspid. So ta-da! Easy to remember, right? Because school teacher usually always just teach you, okay, left side is bicuspid, right side tricuspid. Like they never help you find ways to remember. So you see benefits of tuition, right? Yeah, got like techniques to help you to study. Yeah, so you can remember easily now. Yeah. So for left atrium over here, and this line over here, let's label it. This will actually be left. So it's bicuspid. So let's label this as bicuspid valve. Follow and copy it down. Then for the right side, it will be rat. So rat is, the right atrium side is tricuspid. So this is tricuspid valve. Such keywords, make sure you spell correctly. So you follow the spelling. Yeah, make sure you spell correctly. Because keywords, if you spell wrongly, then your marks is like gone. Okay, so we done identifying everything inside the, not everything, sorry, still got one more in the middle here. So do you realize the middle one is to separate the left oxygenated and right deoxygenated? So to separate thing, SEP for separate. So separate, you actually have the septum. So septum, separate. That's the purpose of septum. Also, the center one is called the septum, to separate. Okay, then so the septum is to separate. So mainly is to prevent the oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood from mixing. Okay, then next, the blood vessels connecting to them. So how to remember? Wow, so many names, right? So to remember, I have another mnemonic for you here. So you go by A for artery, A for away from the heart. So if you look at the arrow, can you see that this arrow is pointing away? This arrow also pointing away. As long as they are pointing away, it will be artery. Because A for artery, A for away from the heart. This one also, this blue one, it can turn left or turn right. The reason is because it will be going into the left and right lung. Yep. So that's why you see over here is also A for artery, because all these are pointing away, is coming out away from the heart. Okay, then next is for vein. Vein, you go by V-E-I-N. I-N is go in, must go into the heart. So that's why you see this arrow here is pointing into, right? So if it point in, so it will be vein, because it points in. Over here also, this one is the vena cava, which is the vein. Yeah, because you see the arrow point into the heart. Okay, so now we have already identified artery or vein. So next is need to know the full name of the blood vessel. So first is you should know that the heart is closely connected to the lungs. Because you know, like if it's oxygenated blood, it must come from the lungs, right? So since this oxygenated blood, it must come from the lungs. So lungs, we will use this medical term called pulmonary. So it means like if you got any lung disease, it's called like pulmonary disease. Yeah, so this is to show that that oxygenated blood must be from the lungs. That's why it's lung, then go in. So it's lung vein. So it's pulmonary vein. Okay, so this one settled. Then the another vein over here, it will be from the rest of your body. So this vein, you have to remember the spelling. This vein is called vena cava. Okay, then next is for the artery, how to remember. So this one is airway, right? And this deoxygenated. So if your blood don't have enough oxygen, means that I should like go to the lung to like refill your oxygen. Yeah, so that's why in this case, you should go to the lungs. That's why it's pulmonary and then it's airway. So it's like going away from the heart into the lungs. Okay. Then the last one is aorta. This one you should know is the most famous blood vessel. This is the biggest blood vessel in our heart, in our body. So how big is this? It's as big as the old 50-cent coin. You know the Singapore 50-cent coin, not the now one, the previous one. Yeah, that big. Yeah, so it's actually a very huge blood vessel. Yeah, so this is the largest blood vessel in our body, aorta. Yeah, like that. Okay, then next thing to take note is that need to know that this one, I wrote here, take note that left ventricle has thicker and more muscular walls. Can you see it in this diagram over here? Can you tell that the thickness here is way thicker than the other side? Can you see that the other side is like thinner? Yeah, so it's not that they accidentally draw unevenly. It's meant to be thicker on the left side. Why? Because left side is oxygenated blood. If it's oxygenated blood, means that it needs to go to the rest of the body. Follow and copy it down. Are you writing? Yeah. So it's to the rest of the body. Okay, let's label all of them where they come from, okay? So pulmonary vein is lungs. This is from lungs. Then this pulmonary artery. So this one is actually to the lungs. Then for vena cava, this one is from the rest of the body. Yeah, follow and copy all of them in. So based on this, the aorta will pump to the rest of the body. Yeah, that's why it needs to be thicker. It might need to be like more muscular, because when you got more muscles, you got more force to be able to push it over a longer distance. So take note that you need to have all the keywords in red to be able to get the full marks. When teacher asks you, why is the thickness of the left and right different? Then this is the answer. So must have every single keyword, okay? Must have the force, must have the distance also. Yeah. Then lastly, need to know what, like when the heart is pumping, which chamber is contracting, which chamber is relaxing, and then which valve is open, which valve is closed. Okay, so I'm going to write a table over here. I do not know whether are you able to squeeze it. Maybe you want to get like a piece of paper or post-it or something and attach it instead. I don't know whether you got space or not. Yeah, so I'm going to squeeze it over here. Okay, so total I will be having, I think I will have 4 rows bar. Okay. Yeah, so now I'm going to go through with you what happens to the different chambers, like which part contract, which part relax, as well as the valve, which one open, which one close. Okay, so I will start off with maybe we start off with ventricle first. Okay, so if my ventricle contracts, need to take note that for the atrium, it will always be opposite. So take note, atrium and ventricle is always opposite. One contract, one relax. Sorry, today don't have time because in my normal regular lesson, I will show a video of this heart contracting and relaxing. Then you can really see which part contract, which part relax. But for now, I'll just tell you verbally instead of showing video. So for atrium, it will be always opposite. It will relax instead. So then what happened to the door? So if your okay, so wait, let's write down the opposite scenario. So ventricle relax, atrium contracts. Okay, so maybe I do the right side first, okay? I go through the right side first. So if your ventricle relax, your atrium contract. So do you realize if your atrium squash and then squeeze and contract, it means you're trying to push the blood to the ventricle, right? So naturally, this tricuspid door, do you think will it open or close? When your atrium contract, like atrium squeeze. So what happened to your tricuspid valve door? Yes, correct, it will open because the blood squeeze to flow into the right ventricle. That's why for the other side, it will be opposite. Your tricuspid valve should close instead. Okay. Okay, then next is also need to know that there's one more valve. Oh yes, I missed out going through. There's two more valve over here. Can you see? These two valves. These two valves is the one that exit the heart. So if you are exiting the heart, it will be called the semi-lunar valve. Okay, so need to also know what happened to the semi-lunar valve. So semi-lunar valve, it will be similar to the atrium and ventricle. It will always be directly opposite. So if your tricuspid, oh no, no one identified my writing error. I write both sides tricuspid. Both sides is not tricuspid, right? The left side is bicuspid. Yep. So so that means depend on I write left or right. So it can be bi or tri. Sorry. Depend on because I never identify is it left or right. Okay, so no guarantee is tricuspid. You read the question. See, is it left or right? Yep. So for semi-lunar valve, it will be always opposite. If bi-tricuspid open, semi-lunar should close. If bi-tri close, semi-lunar should open. Why? Because when your ventricle contract means they want to pump the blood outwards, right? So if they want to pump the blood out of the ventricle, you don't want this door to open. Because if the yellow color door open, then, oh no, your blood go backwards. We don't want that to happen because it won't be efficient. We want blood to always flow one way. That's why you make sure that the yellow color door, the tricuspid or bicuspid, must be closed when the ventricle contract. Okay? So that blood cannot flow backwards, but it will flow forward. To flow forward, the forward door, which is the semi-lunar valve, must open so that blood can flow out of the heart. Yep, like that. That's all. Okay, so yeah, that's all that I need to go through for this page. Any question? Because this topic, mainly the confusing part, I think is this part here. And one more thing behind. So far, any questions? Oh, all right. Okay, so then moving on to the next page over here. This whole page, please study this whole page. Very important. This is like one of the most commonly tested page. Okay, so for this page over here, for the graph, they love to test you on this graph. How to study for this graph? You go by the point of intersection. Can you see here? The lines are intersecting. So you label as all the point of intersection, you label as COCO. Okay, all the point of intersection is called COCO. C-O-C-O. Oh, where's the semi-lunar valve? Can you see here is this door. So this one here and this one's here. Can tell? So we mean okay. Yeah, this door. So it's the ventricle to get out. Ventricle to get out door. That is the semi-lunar valve. So I take it as we mean got it, huh? Okay, so so next is for this cardiac cycle. Why need to memorize COCO? Is because COCO tells you what happened to the valve. Okay, so just remember that the below valves, okay, so for the below graph, below is always the tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Okay, the below valves are tricuspid and bicuspid. Because even when you look at the graph, you realize the bicuspid and tricuspid is like below, lower, right? As compared to the semi-lunar Semilunar are higher. So that's why the below, it will be tricuspid, bicuspid. This is my way of helping you to memorize this graph because they like to ask questions on this graph. Then the on top one is the semilunar valve. Then you go by Coco. So that means the tri and bi close. Then this one is the semilunar open. Semilunar, C for close. Bi and tri, open. Okay, so that's how you can memorize this graph. Mainly they ask you, most of the time they ask you on the valve, but of course they also can ask you about ventricle and atrium, though less tested, but I still do see in questions. So the atrium and ventricle, you still need to also study it. So mainly you just follow the legend. So the legend say that this blue line is atrium. Then you see once the pressure go up means you contract, then the pressure go up. Yeah, then this one, you see the graph for the atrium go down, and then this part, okay, it peaks, sorry. This part of intersection here, it peaks, so peaks also contract. Then this one is the ventricle. Ventricle go up, so that means ventricle will contract. Yeah, then this part, the ventricle come down, and then ventricle relax. You can see the arrows, right? I hope the arrows are clear enough. This is this part, this is this part. Okay, then this is this part. This is this part. Okay. Okay, so I shall move on. You should be done noting down, right? Okay, so I will actually recommend you to go and take a look at this video. Yeah, you go and, because I know time now, you're already overrun already. Yeah, so I leave it to you to watch on your own. Easier for you to understand the whole cardiac cycle and how the heart and the, like the atrium and ventricle, how they contract and relax. Yeah. Okay, so so generally to remember this part about the ventricle and atrium, when contract, when relax, you just check the blood pressure. When it's higher, it means contraction. When blood pressure is lower, it is relaxation. Yeah, that's all. Okay, then the next part over here, need to know that the heart is an organ. You need to have blood vessel to give it oxygenated blood. So that is actually the coronary artery. So the coronary artery is the one that get blocked during heart attack. Yeah, so this one is also an answering technique. So can you highlight it? So whenever you see answering technique means, please go and memorize. Okay, because this kind is like commonly tested, very, very commonly tested. Yep, so to help you to memorize, again, same thing, I have picture for you here. So you try to screenshot the picture in your brain, then hopefully, yeah, you have the answers really well. Yeah, so like what cholesterol and fats is this yellow color stuff. Then the artery become narrow, right? Then got a cross because the blood cannot be transported. Then your heart cannot carry out respiration. That's why I put a respiration sign over here. You cannot have respiration. That's why the heart cannot contract. Then the heart have heart attack. Done. Yep, so you use the picture again to help you to memorize it. Okay. Yep, so done. That's all. Any questions on this topic? Everything all right? Okay, so then next I will move on to the practice questions here. Okay, so as I understand that the lesson that was indicated on the website is only until 9:30, but the thing is that, okay, for the sake of your exam, I feel that like I want to continue to extend the lesson. Yep, so I will continue until like 10 p.m. So if any of you unable to continue to stay back for the lesson, you can actually keep a lookout at Overmarks, the O-level Telegram channel. In there, they will actually let you all know about the recorded lesson. So if you really need to leave now, you can actually take your leave now. Then you can actually watch the recorded lesson for the behind part of the lesson. Yeah, so towards the end of the lesson, only at the end, then I will then show you the QR code for the answer key. So yeah, so if you need the answer, then you have to either stay till the end of lesson or you watch the recorded lesson to get the QR code. Okay, so I will continue on for this question. Same thing, I won't go through every single question. I'll just go through the main points on like how you tackle the question, then you do it on your own at home. Okay, so for question number 4 here, database question. So they said that the graph shows the pressure changes in the aorta. Oh yes, by the way, just to let you all know that for those of you who stay back, there will be a short Kahoot at the back where you can actually stand to win attractive prizes. Yeah, so if you can stay, advise to stay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so over here they show you the changes in the pressure of one cardiac cycle. Then now they're asking you to identify the chamber. and explain how you arrive the answer. So just to give you a hint that actually for this question over here, you can actually use the answering technique. Okay, just write AT will do that. Okay, so now, are you able to tell like which answering technique can you use? So first you need to identify which chamber, right? X. So X is this one. Or X is this one there. Yeah, so you can actually refer to my graph, right? Just now I had a graph, right? So can someone tell me what is chamber X? Yes, correct, very good. It's left ventricle. Yeah, so for left ventricle, how come the pressure, oh, you realize shoot until so high? The reason is because it's over here. You realize? Then how come the ventricle pressure so high? Yeah, because it's very thick. Then can generate a lot of force. That's why the blood pressure is very high. So actually, this will be the answer for part A. Okay, so just copy it in. Okay, so moving on to the next part, part B. Describe and explain how the volume of chamber X changes with pressure in from time B to D. Yeah, so this one is just database question. So this one is just you just make sure that because it's the describe part. So remember, describe, you always tell me the graph or the increase or decrease. And whenever it's graph question, you must always what thing? You must always, what's the skill that you need for database question? Anyone? Just now I went through already, right? Just now you all could tell me correctly. Yes, must always state the value. Yeah, so make sure you quote the numbers that you see in your graph, okay, in your answer. Let's describe. Then next is for explain. Yeah, so for explain how the volume changes with pressure. So in this case, you just explain about like, you know, when which chamber contract. Yeah, so you tell me what the chamber, when it contract or relax, then you tell me what happened to the pressure, did it increase or decrease? Then that will be good enough already. Yeah, so that is the explanation to say how come the volume will change. Okay, so the changing is due to the contraction and relaxation as well as pressure. You're done copying down the hint. I'm moving on in 3 seconds. If you're not done, then quickly write down. If not, you screenshot. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on. Okay, so for the next part here, function of value, just check my notes. It's inside. Okay, yeah. Okay, then the next question over here, they say that a man fell and had a bad cut on his arm and made him continue to bleed. And the man then went to the hospital and had a blood test, and this is his blood test. So this is like his result versus normal. So can you tell me which of the numbers here look abnormal? So based on the table, which value is abnormal? Correct, it's the platelet. Do you realize it's like way lower? But the rest are fine. It's all within the range. So that's why for part A, based on the table above, again, whenever it's table or graph, you must always do what? You must always, what do you need to do whenever got table and graph? That's the main takeaway for today. Make sure you don't make this repeated mistake, okay? Yes, very good. Must always cite the values, okay? Must remember, please learn this today, okay? And then don't make this mistake in your exam. Yep, so yeah, so this time around, whose value should you cite? You cite the platelets number because platelet is the number that is abnormal. So after you cite already, that is like 1 mark, right? But the question is 3 marks. So how do you explain? So that means you explain about how platelet is related to stopping bleeding. So do you think if there is any answer that can be found from my notes, or do you think you should like write it out on your own? If you think that there is answer from my notes, maybe can you tell me the page number? Or you feel that must write out on your own, then you tell me, say, write on our own. So what do you all think? Can you all flip through my notes? So Zheng Wei says page 4, but hard topic is all like quite big page number though. Cannot be page 4 lah. Or page 8. Okay, so let's take a look at page 8. So page 8, yes, very good. It is this one, that's why you see, I told you, this kind of question always tested one. You see for this question also. So that's why, can you copy this whole thing? Then that will be the answer for part A. Okay, so you just copy down from page 8. Yeah, so you can write it down to let yourself know that later you just copy from notes, page 8. Okay, that box from platelet, the commonly tested part. Done writing down the hint? I'm moving on in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on. Okay, so part B over here, they said that the doctor informed the man that he's at risk of coronary heart disease. Suggest and explain why the doctor said this and the lifestyle change that the man has to make to avoid the heart disease. So for this question, there are a few parts. One is that suggest and explain why the doctor said this. That means why he is at risk of having coronary heart disease. Then the second part is what is the lifestyle change? Yep, so based on the table above, are we able to tell why he is likely to have heart attack? So which test result show that he's like at risk of heart attack? Can I have an answer? Why is he at risk of heart attack? Which test result shows you that he's at risk of heart attack? So heart attack is caused by, very good. Yeah, it is the cholesterol. Do you realize cholesterol is reaching the upper limit? Yeah, that's why this shows that he's at risk of the coronary heart disease. So let's write it down. It's because of the cholesterol. Yeah, it's because it's close to the upper limit. Okay, so then next is what is the lifestyle change? Oh, wait. After we suggest, right? Yeah, so we suggest because of the cholesterol, we also need to explain. So how to explain cholesterol linked to heart disease? So same thing, can you check my notes? Like, do you think there's answer from my notes or like you have to write it on your own? So if can write from my notes, can you tell me the page number? Or if you feel that we should write on our own, you can type in write on our own. So what do you think? So Teresa says page 11. Let's take a look at page 11. Let me scroll. Page 11. Yes, correct. Then you see, answering technique again. So take note, okay, whenever question asks you to explain, always try to think of answering technique. Because my notes, you know, right, I always structure it in a way that you can always tackle explanation question. Yeah, so okay, so actually this whole chunk will be your answer for the explain part. Okay? Okay, so let's write it in. So this is actually, you copy from the answering technique on notes page 11. Okay, then next, what is the lifestyle change? So this one, you just copy from notes page 11 also. Like in there, I got write down like, you should like avoid what thing. Okay, so you just do it on your own. Done. That's all for this question. Okay, then for the next question, you're done copying down. I'm moving on in 3 seconds. Harini is asking, how about the platelets? Platelets, does it cause heart attack? Mainly it is the cholesterol first, because normally for us, normal people, we also got platelets, right? But normally we don't get heart attack, ma. It's because the cholesterol form. Then until it looks like a gap, then maybe the platelets then thinking of like clotting the blood there, then it might then cause like a clot. Yeah, so you need to have the cholesterol forming first, then the platelet then maybe will cause the clot. Yeah, but sometimes the heart attack, like the blood vessel that is being like blocked, is not due to the platelets doing the blood clot. It can also be too much cholesterol until the whole tube filled with cholesterol all the way until the blood cannot flow through. So platelet is not the main cause of heart attack. It is the cholesterol that is the main cause of heart attack. Yeah, so the platelet is actually mainly causing his wound to not be able to stop bleeding. Because if you flip through the notes, the function of platelets is to clot blood. Yeah, so that means the platelet low is to stop him from clotting the blood. Can understand? Yeah, good to always clarify. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to this question here. This question I won't be going through because this one is I purposely want to put inside to let you practice. Yeah, so this is not a difficult question. You can find the answer from my notes. So this one I leave it to you. Okay. Yep, so done for the practice questions. And now for the Kahoot, we will do a quick one. Yep, so for the Kahoot, right, I would require those of you who is not taking combined. I know that some of you are not taking combined biology. Yeah, so for those not taking combined biology, can you not participate in this Kahoot? You can watch, you take it as an MCQ practice question, but you don't participate in it because for this Kahoot, the giveaway prize, okay, so for the person who scored the highest for this Kahoot, you will get to win overmarked curated biology notes. That means it will consist of the first topic of combined biology to the last topic. So you can even use it for your next year's syllabus. Yep. So that's the present. Yep. So that's the gift for only the top scorer, the highest scorer. Yep. Then the rest of you, I will take it that it will be good to also like practice it, take it like MCQ practice, like why not, right? Yeah. Yep. So can you all quickly join in? Then I will start this Kahoot really soon. Okay, so let me now turn on the sound for some sound effects. By the way, for my Kahoot, the question, there will be some question that need you to like rearrange. So that means when it's a arrange kind of question, make sure you press and then you drag it up and down to slide it, so that the top one is the start, then the last one is like the last lah. Okay, so there are not only MCQ question, but got sliding question also. Okay. Okay, so is anyone still joining? Should I wait for you? If I need to wait for you, maybe can you like type the word wait, or like maybe click a raise hand button or something? Because if not, I will start in 5 seconds. Because I don't want to delay you to stay back too late, because I know that next day you got school also. Okay, ready? Count on from 5 ready. If you need me to wait, you tell me now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. Not all are bio questions, so you all can try. You all know which subject I teach. And do smart deduction. Since I teach science, right? So what? So actually, I teach all sciences. So not only teaching your bio, I actually teach chemistry and physics also. Yep. So if you sign up for other subject, you might bump into me. Yeah. Okay, so the next question. Get the correct answer is water must always move from high to low water potential, right? So in this case, if your root hair cell want to absorb water until the xylem, means the outside should be the highest water potential. So that water always move from high to low. So inside, the most inside should be the lowest potential. So that water move from high to low water potential. Okay, so the answer is DCBA. Next one. Slide again. This one is whether you can recognize whether like this burst, this is like swollen, this is like crenated, this is normal. Yeah, then you need to rank them up. Because if burst, that means outside is a lot of water. A lot of water means high water potential, low concentration. So that's why for R, it will be the lowest concentration. That's why it's the first one, the lowest concentration to the highest concentration. So extreme opposite is Q. So Q will be the last. Okay, next question. Okay, of the brochure, you can put the brochure to find the answer. Next one. So for sugar, it's just testing you. Do you know where's the phloem? Yep, so it will be always the xylem is inside, food is outside. Usually I use this mnemonic called Y, instead of Wi-Fi, it becomes Y4. Yeah, so it's like water inside, food outside. So WIFO. Yeah, so Wi-Fi become Y4. Okay, then the next one. For this question here, lowest concentration of carbon dioxide. So mainly is there's two ways to approach. The first method is because the palisade mesophyll is the main site of photosynthesis, that means they will use up the carbon dioxide during photosynthesis very quickly. That's why here the carbon dioxide should be depleted. That's why B, it should be lowest concentration of carbon dioxide. Another way is for diffusion to occur. Diffusion is always movement of carbon dioxide from high to low concentration. That's why you want the carbon dioxide to move from the surrounding to the palisade. That's why palisade should be the lowest, so that carbon dioxide move from high to low and reach the palisade mesophyll. Yeah, so that's how you tackle this question. No? By the way, all my questions are all from school exam papers. Yeah, so it's all from the school end of year paper. So little of you got it right. Okay, so for process at X over here, this one is because, can you see that it's not pointing into the spongy mesophyll, it's pointing to the side. The side is the thin film of moisture. So thin film of moisture, in the end, the thin film, when they lose the water, they will lose to the intercellular airspace, right? So that's why that is actually evaporation, of course, from moisture, which is liquid state, it go into the gap here, which is gas. So liquid to gas, that is evaporation. Then from here, how do you lose to the atmosphere outside? To lose outside, you need to undergo diffusion. Because you look at my notes, I draw an arrow right from the intercellular airspace, I draw to the surrounding, that is diffusion. You can just flip your notes off to check it. Yeah, so all these are actual school exam questions, okay, which may come up for your school exam also. Okay, next one. So actually, I've been teaching at the Learning Lab for 7 years already. Yeah. Then before Learning Lab, I was actually teaching in another tuition center called the Wisland Tuition Center. Yeah. So actually, I've been teaching science for many, many years already. Yeah. As mentioned to you, usually for the first half, when it's like slant line, it will be carbon dioxide is the limiting factor. When it becomes horizontal line, it will be other factors that become the limiting factor. Okay, so hope you learn from here. The next question will be similar. You can prepare and flip your notes. Hope you learn from this, and I hope everyone can get full marks for this next question. So many responses are 90 plus when there are only like 33 of you online. So weird. Okay, so anyways, yeah, very good. Now majority of you got it right. Yeah, so it's similar lah. As long as it is the front part, it will be light intensity is the limiting factor. Then the behind part, it will be other factors. So this time around, since your carbon dioxide so little, that means carbon dioxide is the limiting factor. Not bad. You all know? You all did hear me when I was explaining. That's good. Yeah, because I want to make it like more fair also. In case like, you know, your bio week, I don't want you to be like always like ranking below for Kahoot. That's why I included non-bio questions. This one is the one that, you know, just now I was drawing a table, like which one contract, which one relax. Yeah, so if your ventricle relax open means that you want the blood to come in, right? Because you open up to let the blood come in. Yeah, so that's why your door X, you must open so that the blood can flow down. So then if this is open, the other one must be opposite. It will be closed. Okay, you can flip to your notes on this page also. Yeah, the one that has the heart, you know, all the mnemonics, what? LORD, lab red, that page. Okay, so the next question will be similar. I hope this time around you will be able to get it right. Very good, very good. The answer is in the picture. So the answer is pulmonary vein. Yeah, cause lung got a lot of oxygen, right? And this is the blood from the lung that go into the heart. Yeah, so if you go into the heart, then this is it has like a lot of oxygen to be pumped to the rest of the body. And then since from the lungs, yeah, the blood pressure will be very weak. I think almost coming to an end already. Yeah. I think this is the last question really. Wait, oh, a lot of y'all got it wrong. Oh, Just check the pamphlet. Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, so you will receive for the trial. Trial is not the early bird. Yeah, early bird you then receive more curated notes. Yeah, it is the trial lesson. Yeah, so trial is the you sign up in like the October one to get the November free lesson in one set of curated. Sorry, and oh wait, oh no, I think I clicked wrongly. Oh no, sorry, my bad. Actually, the answer is blue one. sorry. I think I clicked wrongly. So sorry. Okay, so yep, let's conclude and see who is the highest scorer. Oh, congrats. Okay, so may I know people don't leave yet because I haven't shown you all the answer key yet, right? You stay first. Okay, so just to check, who is YK? Is YK present here? Who is YK? Oh, so you not intending to take the gift, is it? So I pass it to the second winner. Okay, then next is Kara. Is Kara present here? Kara, are you around to claim your gift? Yes, okay, congrats to Kara. Okay, so Kara, right now, can you drop me a message at my phone number? So I've actually just sent you my phone number. Can you note it down now? Then in your message, can you tell me that hi, I'm Kiara, and can you tell me what is your mailing address? So you give me your name and surname as well as your full mailing address. So I'll be sending you the notes that you have won, yeah, to your house address. Okay. Yep. So I'll be sending you the combined biology with chemistry notes. Yeah. So you text me now. Okay, no problem. Okay, then next is people. Yep, so it will be the answer. Yep, so yep, here is the answer key for today's worksheet. Yep, so you can scan and get a copy of it. Yep, so yeah, so that will be all for today. So if any of you find that the lesson is useful and then you are interested to sign up, recommend you to sign up quickly so that I can send you the end of year, the whole stack of like every single chapter, the notes. I can send it to you fast so that you can like in time to study for your end of year exam. Yep, then that will be all for today. So yep, thanks everyone for coming today. Yep, that's all for today. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you. Bye-bye. The notes. Okay, Judy, let me see whether can I send it to you here. Okay, let me stop the recording first.